Welcome back, everybody. Don't forget, of course, how could you? We got a football game on Saturday, Bison Jackrabbits. The game is on ESPNU. Don't call me or our next guest because it's not on Midco or WDAY. We've got Bison Game Day live at 10 a.m. on WDAY, and then we're back after the game on WDAY Plus for Bison Post Game Live. It's always a treat to visit with our next guest. We do it every year to get ready for Dakota Marker Week, and now he's crossed over to the TV side. He's a TV guy. Tyler Merriam, the voice of South Dakota State, TV voice of South Dakota State, I can say that as well, joins us this morning. It's great to see you, bud. How you been?
It's great to see you, too. I've been good, and it's fun to catch up, and it's fun to talk about this week. I mean, this is always one of those you circle on the calendar, and we've been waiting, and here we are.
All right, I know you don't want to talk about you, but for people that are watching on Midco, they're hearing you. They're seeing you. How did this all come about now?
Well, it started last year. You know, we were trying to figure out ways between us and Midco to deepen our partnership and things that we could do that would help each other out, And one of the things was, is there a way we can share talent on top of other things? We made a huge renovation to our arena in the last couple years, lots of production elements that we could be more involved in helping them behind the scenes too. And so did a few things last year, some women's basketball games, but we just talked over the spring and summer, and this was one that kind of made sense for everybody. And so we've tried it this year, and it's an ongoing trial run, I guess you would say, but so far I think it's gone really well, and it's fun to work some different muscles out, I guess you would say, Dom.
Are you enjoying it? It's different than radio, totally, obviously.
Oh, no question. And it is. It's a lot of fun. I have enjoyed it, and it's fun to hear from different people. You know, there's folks that will just watch, and some turn down the TV and listen to the radio because they're used to us, but to be able to hear from some different people is kind of cool. And like I said, to be able to work even closer with our friends at Midco, who we're such longtime partners with, has been a lot of fun as well.
Well, it's awesome to hear you, man. You're doing a great job, and it's fun to see that. So can you spill the beans on us? Everyone wants to know. Chase Mason's playing. You're going to tell us that, right?
I'm sorry, who?
Exactly.
I didn't. What name? I'm sorry. I don't know what you're talking about, Dom. I don't know anything. I do not have any beans to spill. I know that I hope he gets the opportunity to play.
Yes.
And I say this because we know the trajectories of the last few years, how much we've talked about Gronowski versus Miller. And there were so many storylines over the years. And here you had Peyton and Mason lurking in the shadows, and both got to have moments in this rivalry. But this was the culmination of all of their efforts, was they finally were going to get to have their moments this year. And they've had great years. And you hope that this is an opportunity to see those two play against one another. And I don't know what's going to happen. We probably won't know till Saturday night. But we'll wait and see. You hope that both guys are healthy and both guys get an opportunity to shine under a national spotlight.
Did you see anything on that drive, the opening drive, that was all we had? We showed the highlight of it, Tyler, when he runs off, and it looked obviously that something was wrong with him after the touchdown. Did you notice anything during the broadcast on that first drive?
Not until he scored the touchdown. Now, going back through it, a couple of plays before that, you can tell he is a little bit on the gimpy side. But, I mean, even the coaching staff didn't realize that there was something going on. I mean, think about it. If he's gimping, you're not going to call a designed run for him, and they did. So nobody really knew. And when he came off, he had a brief conversation with the athletic training staff. But, you know, to see a guy hobble a little bit and have a quick chat doesn't mean anything to you. No. And then Murray State gets the football, goes 3 and out. And then, again, the inside baseball stuff we're talking about. I'm checking off a read, and I'm looking at this, and all of a sudden here comes Marble out onto the field. And you look, and Chase Mason is sitting on an equipment suitcase, and he has his helmet off, and he's talking to the team chaplain, and you're going, okay, something's not right here. And that was kind of all we knew. And they taped up his foot, and he walked around and tried to be honest, it just seemed like he didn't know what to do with himself, because he's always either been the guy or he's been ready to go in on a moment's notice because of having play designs for him. So he really just looked like a fish out of water of not really knowing what to do. He was helpful with Marble, and he tried to be involved. It's just, I suppose it'd be like if you or I were thrown into the TV booth and told just to stand back there. We were like, I don't get a microphone? What do I do? And so that was the thing that I had noticed.
Luke Marble goes in and plays. Give us the backdrop on him, backstory of him coming to South Dakota State.
Young man from the northwestern Atlanta suburb of Smyrna, Georgia, and he's just a football nut. His dad worked for the Atlanta Falcons as a behind-the-scenes guy, and so was around football a lot, loves the game, and was a 3-year starter in high school. In fact, they called him Luke the Magician in high school because of the success he had, and got on the radar of Northern Illinois because they recruit the Atlanta area and the South pretty heavily. Eric Eidsness was the offensive coordinator at Northern Illinois last year, and so he redshirted at Northern Illinois with Eidsness. Then when Eidsness made the transition here to SDSU to return and be a Jackrabbit offensive coordinator after the spring, Marble had some opportunities, and he was just looking at, okay, you got proven guys here. There's a guy that's probably going to start for 3 more years at Northern Illinois. He had some other FBS offers, but I think he saw it as, okay, Mason has 1 year, maybe 2. I've got an opportunity to go and build myself up there. And knowing, of course, Eric Eidsness and some of the staff, he took the opportunity to come to SDSU, and here he is.
I got to ask about Julius Loughridge. For a guy that came from Fordham, he's become SDSU's main horse, obviously with a tragic passing of Nate White. How did that change everything with how they were going to use Loughridge going into the season?
Well, I think they viewed it similarly to, and I don't want to make direct comparisons, but when you had Davis and Johnson or Strong and Davis, both guys were getting a lot of reps. And one might get a few more carries, but both were going to be heavily involved. And I think that was kind of the anticipation, was White could be more of a home run hitter, where in the case of Loughridge, he would be more of that physical guy who, yes, he's fast, but he's not 0 to 60 in a heartbeat. That's not Loughridge's thing. He's a very patient runner and very effective. And so you kind of take that home run hitter away, but Loughridge loves the big moment, and he wants the ball. You know, some guys can tire out some. He's fine carrying it 20, 25 times. The Jacks have tried to limit how many times he's had to carry the football because we know the wear and tear of the Missouri Valley Football Conference, but he loves it. He's a great kid. He's very positive, and really, other than when he got depantsed at Montana State and had to come out of the game for that reason, he wants to stay on and take every snap.
Tim Polisic said yesterday, Tyler, that the Jack receivers are better than they were last year. That's obvious with Griffin Wilde in there, and I think some people's eyebrows raised during the press conference yesterday. What do you make of that comment?
I think they're deeper. I think they certainly are deeper. Wilde is exceptional, obviously. Lofton Ogroski, before he got hurt, was off to a tremendous start, was one of the top receivers statistically in the FCS. He and Lance had put up unbelievable numbers. Then Lance has kept going, where Ogroski missed the first 2 conference games and then was in for, as Eric Eidsness put it, on a low pitch count at Murray State just to get him back into the flow conditioning-wise and whatever. But to have Bullock, a transfer from Nebraska who's really stepped up, Jack Smith, somebody who set countless high school records in Sioux Falls as a wide receiver. He's really stepped in where, because Ogroski was out, somebody needed to take those reps, and then Goring's made some big catches over the years too. So I think it was a little more top-heavy last year. I think that receiving core is deeper, and you haven't even gotten into a case of an Isaiah Garcia-Castaneda, who also had a lot of reps at a place like Nebraska too, and has seemingly been playing college football for a decade and a half. And so there's definitely a deep wide receiver room there. So I can understand where Coach Polisic comes from.
All right, give us the lowdown. The Jack defense has been great. I don't know if that was a surprise considering at least who they lost in the portal and who went to Washington State with Jimmy Rogers. What stood out to you on the defensive side of the ball?
Well, I think first off, the defensive line's been really good, and that's even after losing Reese Kirshenman to an injury, and he might have been the best one the first couple of weeks, honestly, Dom. But Kobe Claiborne's really, really good, and they've experimented more and more with using him on the outside now with Kirshenman going down, where they had a couple of guys hurt on the interior earlier in the year. Now that those guys are back and Kirshenman's out, they've been moving Claiborne more to the end, and he's effective in a variety of roles. They're good up front, the linebackers. Gee, is this a shock? NDSU, SDSU, and we're talking about good linebackers in this game. I mean, stop me. But the linebacking core is really talented. And Ullman and McShane and Van Tol, they've been all over the field. And the secondary continues to come along. That was probably the youngest group of the 3, and they've added a couple of transfers and some great athletes, and they're just continuing to find their way. And each week you see, well, maybe this guy will start, or maybe this guy will play more. So it continues to be just a unique combination there. But If this team was going to be good, they were going to have to be good on defense. And again, just like with Eidsness, you're bringing back Brian Bergstrom, who was a former defensive coordinator at SDSU, had been a Division II head coach, and they have meshed really, really well. And you look, in 3 of the 7 games, they've allowed 1 score on defense. And at Montana State, in regulation, the defense gave up 10 points on the road against the number 2 team in the country at the time. So that defense has played very well, but I think they'll also be tested as much as they have all year on Saturday also.
I'm interested to get your thoughts on the fan base, knowing on the outside people think, the Jacks aren't going to be very good with who they lost. I guess they're in Brookings. Are people surprised at the amount of success that they've had with Dan Jackson in year 1?
So I think it's like anything, Dom. I think had you asked the Jackrabbit fans back around Christmas time when they were searching for a head coach, or if you asked them back in the spring, hey, you'll be 7-0, number 2 in the country, hosting NDSU on national TV, they would have said, oh, absolutely, sign me up. Today they'd go, this, if Chase can't play, and then you got this, and what about that? And they're not quite, it's like anything, right? Is that you're searching for perfection. And so I think if you really allow yourself to stop and think of how few starters came back to this team between graduation and the portal, a whole new coaching staff, not a majority of a staff. I mean, literally, Dan Jackson arrived with 2 athletic trainers. That was who remained from the previous year. And so to build a whole new staff, to figure out the roster, to be at 7-0 right now and number 2 in the country, I mean, it's one of the more impressive things when you really stop and think about it. And I know we're in a constantly evolving state of college football, but that's pretty darn impressive.
It's been a while since the Bison and Jacks played a night game in Brookings. I think 2009. You were there, obviously, last year for the Jacks-Coyotes game under the lights. What are you going to expect? How fevered a crowd is this going to be on Saturday night?
So I've been asked that a lot, and I think back to 2 things, Dom. Number 1, 3 years ago, SDSU hosted Montana State. Both were in the top 5 in the country. That was a heavily hyped game around here. The students were tremendous. They forced 9 false starts of Montana State that day, and arguably, that's the reason the Jacks win the game, because Montana State moved back a couple times in the red zone, settled for field goals, and the Jacks end up winning that game. I think back to that. I also think back to last year's game in Fargo, and NDSU doesn't play a lot of night games, as you well know, and all the talk coming out of that from Matt Larson and the Bison staff was there was just a different energy about the game and it being at night that added a little more to it, and it was a feverish pitch on that particular Saturday night. So I think similar situation there, and thinking back to Montana State, it's ripe for a raucous environment, and I think it'll be a lot of decibel levels will be established. I think it'll be a lot of fun in the building on Saturday night.
Can't wait for it, bud. It's great to see you. I'll see you on Saturday. Thanks so much for giving us a few minutes this morning, okay?
Hey, appreciate it as always. Can't wait to see you and the crew, and always good to swap notes with a TV veteran such as yourself now.
The TV voice of South Dakota State joining us. Tyler Merriam, thanks, bud. We'll see you on Saturday, all right?
See you, Dom. Take care.
There he goes. Tyler Merriam joining us. Looking forward to that. Jacks and the Bison on Saturday night, 7 o'clock, ESPNU. Looks like the weather's not going to be a factor. It's going to be a beautiful night. Let's go. Getting ready for what's going to be a dynamite football game. Much more on that coming up in Bison Media Zone with Kolpak and I in about 40 minutes coming up here on WDAY Extra. We'll break. Got a couple emails to get to. We'll wrap up our first hour. Carson Yagi going to join us, Breckenridge head football coach, at the top of our second hour as we roll on a Wednesday morning. We're back right after this.